Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shivaprasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. We are 11 minutes delayed because of some technical hitches. Though late, we are coming up with the very latest. We are coming with sportsman spirit. That is the topic for today. And again, we have the Ghalib of public health, Dr. Amitav Banerjee ji. Sir, namaskar. So, before या बात करिए सब आपका वॉइस क्या हुआ सर बात करिए सब एक बार वॉइस इज वेरी अगेन देयर इज अ टेक्निकल हिच नहीं सब नॉट एबल टू हियर योर वॉइस ब्लूटूथ कनेक्ट मत करिए we lost your voice, you're just not audible. These are the technical issues for the first time, though we are having bandwidth problems, but that is the reason why there is a delay. Stay with us. We'll connect with Dr. Amitav Banerjee. Meanwhile, I'll just show you the purpose of the show as usual. It is very clear, the backdrop is very clear. As usual, we'll try to show what is happening around the world, and meanwhile we'll just try to get him. You are disturbing the. Don't take this from too far. Some problem. Just missing it. Are you back सब एक बार बात करिए एक बार बात करिए सर नहीं सब नॉट एबल टू हियर आई एम ट्राइंग टू शेयर ऑल्सो शेयर स्क्रीन में भी ऑडियो नहीं आ रहा कुछ देयर इज अ बिग टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम हियर एक बार बात करिए सर even here I am unable to relate even the video was playing quite normally. I don't know what's happening with this. यहाँ पर ये भी नहीं आ रहा सब सरप्राइजिंगली डेली आई यूज टू प्ले थ्रू व्हाट्सएप आई थिंक देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम हियर ओनली विथ माई ही हैज मेस्ड अप दिस एंटायर थिंग There is some serious problem, sir.
Wearing of face masks anyway. Mr. Speaker.
Sir, I'm just trying to play what England has done.
We can return to Plan A in England and allow Plan B regulations to expire. As a result, from the start of Thursday next week, mandatory certification will end. Organisations can, of course, choose to use the NHS COVID pass voluntarily, but we will end the compulsory use of COVID status certification in England. From now on, the government is no longer asking people to work from home. And people should now speak to their employers about arrangements for returning to the office. And having looked at the data carefully, the Cabinet concluded that once regulations lapse, the government will no longer mandate the wearing of face masks anyway. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from tomorrow we will no longer require face masks in classrooms, and the Department for Education will shortly remove national guidance on their use in communal areas. In the country at large, we will continue to suggest.
This is a big news coming from London, which we want to. बात करिए सब एक बार. Unfortunately, we are unable to hear you, sir. We'll try to. This is what has happened. And the discoverer of ओमिक्रॉन खोजने वाली वैज्ञानिक ने कहा ब्रिटेन बिना वजह सबको डरा रहा. तो इसीलिए वी वांटेड टू शो यू दिस वीडियो. नाउ आफ्टर ऑल नाउ ब्रिटेन हैज कम बैक. Dr. Angelina Coetzee, she was on the channel also. Very clearly she stated that बात करिए सर एक बार. अमिताभ बनर्जी जी. फिर अनम्यूट किया मैं. आप एक बार बात करिए. आई एम ट्राइंग टू शो to the world that ओमिक्रॉन खोजने वाली वैज्ञानिक ने कहा ब्रिटेन बिना वजह सबको डरा रहा. एंड देन नाउ यू हियर दिस फ्रॉम ब्रिटेन प्राइम मिनिस्टर what they have done. You can watch this on the screen. They have just come out of every type of कुछ सुनाई दे रहा अमिताभ जी? नॉट एबल टू हियर. I think there is some serious technical snacks now. We are very sorry for the state of affairs. Somehow there is some serious problems here. The technicalities.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from tomorrow we will no longer require face masks in classrooms, and the Department for Education will shortly remove national guidance on their use.
When I am trying to share, I am losing the voice.
And social care will set out plans in the coming days. Mr. Speaker, as we return to Plan A, the House will know that some measures still remain, including those on self-isolation.
या सर बात करके देखिए एक बार. नहीं सर, unfortunately. This is something strange. I'll make you presenter. एक बार चेक करिए सब. Try to speak, sir. Is your audio on, sir? Voice is not there, sir. Are you able to hear, sir? Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll just see. Yeah, I'll hold it, not a problem. 1 second. एक बार बात करिए सर. वॉइस लो है सब, वेरी लो है वॉइस. या फोन का ही. एक सेकंड. अब बात करिए.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think it is better now.
I think you can connect the phone. We can do that. I have done it once earlier also.
Yeah,
No
क्या.
less than Arnab Goswami, I did it.
या एक बार मैं YouTube का भी चेक कर रहा हूँ. बात करते जाइए सर.
Yeah, can you hear me? Good evening, Dr. Reddy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. Go ahead.
So that is how we can continue. Shall we?
Yeah, there's no other way because people are waiting.
So this is today we'll be using this this number one tennis player of the world. His name is very long, but his first name is Novak.
क्या बात करिए सर?
So, can you hear, Dr. Reddy? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it connected? Yes. So, this is a case study of this incident which gripped the world some weeks ago when this number one tennis player landed in Australia, Novak. It's a long name, but his first name is Novak, world number one. And Novak.
प्लीज ये वीडियो बंद करवा दो प्लीज.
हाँ वीडियो बंद करा दो
प्लीज यार बंद करवा दो ना. गलती होगी बोल तो रही हूँ.
Shall we continue? Is it possible to?
या बात करिए सर.
Yeah. So this number one tennis player, he had already suffered from COVID-19. He has within the past 1 year, and he, according to all scientific principles, he rightly refused the vaccine. But according to the Australian government regulations, he was not allowed to enter the country. And there was a big controversy on this. And this particular case study we will use to discuss in this type of draconian restrictions, one could say, which are against all principles of science and against all principles of ethics. So the ethics of mass vaccination, ethics of individual choice, and the ethics, the scientific background, the science. This has been the regular year of the lawmakers that they are following the science, but they are not following the science. People who have been following the science have been victimized. So this is the case of a world number one player, which brings into focus how it's illogical and how unscientific and how unethical.
अमिताभ जी आप
Yeah.
अमिताभ जी आप सिस्टम का बंद करिए. साउंड कम करिए. सिस्टम का साउंड कम करिए अमिताभ जी.
Hello, is it okay now?
या इट्स ओके नाउ प्लीज.
So this particular case brings into focus how the world mainstream scientific community or medical consensus has ignored science, has ignored ethics, and has ignored other even common sense. So we will discuss using this as a year, because this person had already suffered from COVID in the past, and according to all scientific principles, and now even CDC is admitting that immunity after recovering from natural infection is any times better than vaccine induced. So there is no reason why a person who has recovered from natural infection should take a vaccine. And he was following the science, but according to the Australian guidelines, he was not allowed to proceed further, and there was a lot of controversy. So accordingly, let us analyze the science behind it, that what is the science says, and it is well known. It is not understood why in this pandemic the basic science has been ignored. This is a paper. This is a study by John Hopkins. And the study by John Hopkins, doctor says natural immunity is 27 times more effective than vaccine-induced immunity. A person who has recovered from natural immunity, then now there are studies from Israel also on very large real-time population also show. And data from Israel shows that natural immunity is again 27 times more effective than vaccine-induced immunity. And that supports 15 other studies. So a person who has recovered from natural infection is almost like he has got more than 20 boosters. I mean, if he has taken a booster, a person is recovered from natural infection, he got 20 times more means 20 times he has got vaccinated. So there is no logic at all for insisting on a person who has recovered, who has got proof of past infection to undergo vaccination. And he rightly refused to get vaccinated. He put his even the world title at stake. Then study done by researchers of Harvard University, also in European Journal of Epidemiology, that it has brought out that even at the population level, in 68 countries and 2947 US countries, the rate of vaccination is not correlating with the rate of transmission. That means vaccination of a person does not prevent him from spreading the virus. So even a vaccinated person and unvaccinated person both can spread. So there is no danger to the other people, because this is the one of the argument which is being used. Because in ethics there are four principles of ethics. We will discuss the ethical principles. First principle is that a person should have choice to take something or not to take something. In this case, to take that is autonomy. But that can be overruled if his choice can harm other people. That is the malfeasance, or harm to other people, or benefit, lack of benefit. That if there had been a vaccine which could have prevented the transmission, then that ethical principle could have been brought into play. Okay, your choice is there, but your choice can harm others. So in this case, in this particular case, this vaccine is not preventing the transmission as brought out by large-scale population studies, and we are seeing breakthrough infection every day. And then particularly the latest variant, that is Omicron, it is totally, the vaccine is having no effect on the transmission of this variant. So therefore, that ethical principle also does not hold good when trying to force vaccine on this person who has recovered. And thirdly, a person, particularly there have been data from a European database that the rate of myocarditis, particularly young males, has increased after the rollout of the vaccine. So there is no benefit to the individual, and there is likely harm, however less it is, but there is a potential harm in the getting a vaccine, particularly for a young male. And this tennis player is a male and he is young. So there is a remote chance of his getting an adverse event from this. So there is this principle of harm also is an ethical principle, that there should be first of all no harm. And firstly there should be benefit. So the person who has recovered and who is at very low risk, otherwise also being a healthy male and having recovered, he has got 27 times stronger immunity than vaccine. So why he should take vaccine? There is no scientific reason at all. There is no ethical reason. In fact, it would be unethical to give vaccine to a person who is not going to benefit, but there is a likelihood of harm which has come in the database. Myocarditis has been reported in the database of the European database. Then there has been in that same tournament, 3 players drop out of the Australian Open with chest issues, pain chest, and they had to drop out. So that tennis star appears to clutch test, so that may be a sign of myocarditis. So it is evident, particularly there have been many cases of athletes having pain chest, and there have been many sudden unfortunate deaths also, which requires to be investigated. Whatever it is, I mean, a healthy person and the large database is showing vaccine adverse effect database, or even the baseline data is showing increased myocarditis is occurred in the Europe where they have good data. So there is no scientific and there is no ethical reason for young people who have recovered to take the vaccine. This is the Omicron variant. ICU hospitalization. There is no fully vaccinated Australian hospital. Majority of people today in hospital in Australia are vaccinated people. 68% people are vaccinated. So idea is to say that vaccination is not preventing transmission in Australia. So he is not an extra risk compared to a vaccinated person, an unvaccinated person is not a greater risk. In fact, according to the science, a person who has got natural immunity after recovery from infection, he or she has got even local immunity, he or she will transmit also less compared to a vaccinated person. So this tennis player, Novak, already he is a young person, he has recovered, he's got immunity, there is no benefit for vaccine and he is not spreading to others because he has recovered from natural infection. Whereas this vaccine would put him at a remote risk of myocarditis. It may be not very common, but there is always a risk, and particularly when he has to play in a competitive sport. And the same tournament, there have been 3 Australian players who had to go out of the tournament because of pain chest. Obviously, since they were allowed, they must have taken the vaccine. So whatever it is, they are concerns. Israel studies, Israel has got 4 boosters, 4 doses, 2 boosters, 3rd booster, 4th dose, 4th dose. The only quadruple vax country in the world also using mask and COVID passport just broke global record for daily COVID cases. So vaccine cannot stop infections. So this is established beyond doubt. Whether it is Australia, whether it is Israel, it is established beyond doubt that vaccine is not preventing transmission. Perhaps it may be increasing it because of the mutant and variant and some virologists have said. And how lethal is the virus? What are the chances? At his age, he is say 30 years, so his survival is 99.969. You see, the virus is very, very benign, harmless in young people, healthy people. So he, as I said, first you have to see the benefit for the individual. So and he has already recovered. He has already recovered. Once he has got it, he has recovered. So he has got no benefit of taking any vaccine. Autonomy. As we are saying, what are the ethical principles? That every person has got autonomy to do as he or she likes, and it can only be, this autonomy can only be ignored if the other ethical principle, that is the harm to other people. Like smoking, if I am smoking, the other person is inhaling the smoke, passive. That's why smoking has been banned in public places, because your person may have autonomy to smoke, even if it is harming, it is his choice, but he or she doesn't have this right to harm others, because passive smoking was found to be harmful. So that's why they have banned in all countries, more or less, they have banned smoking in public places. So, but on that principle, if this vaccine had been preventing transmission, then the Mill's harm principle of ignoring autonomy could be justified. That is for the larger public good. That is called beneficence to the larger public or non-beneficent, no harm to the public. But since this vaccine, as we have seen from the data, from the John Hopkins studies, from other studies, from Israel studies, and also from the many large countries, there is no change in the transmission. There is no, it is equally, viral load is equal in the vaccinated and unvaccinated. So this Mill harm principle also does not apply. So autonomy should be preserved, and there is no benefit to the person, and there is likely harm at the individual level also of vaccine myocarditis, and there is no benefit to a person who has recovered from it, particularly a young person. So these are the issues raised. Novak, Djovic, the issues raised, scientific issues. Why is natural immunity being ignored? Throughout the pandemic, since 2 years, natural immunity, the WHO, the CDC, the other scientists, the vaccine promoters have been saying, no, there is no such thing as herd immunity is natural, or even at an individual level, vaccine immunity is better, which goes against all science. That is natural immunity. Recently, CDC has agreed that yes, natural immunity is as good as vaccine immunity. Only 2 days back, the CDC has given the statement and from their studies. Vaccination is not preventing transmission. So the mandate doesn't hold good, and we have just seen Boris Johnson saying that they don't require. And individual level also. Individual level, he is not at risk of developing disease, but he is at the risk of developing, however less, 1 in 50,000 or 1 in 1 million,
But the risk is 13 per million. The risk of developing myocarditis is there. So why even that remote risk should be taken? And then the three tennis players had pain chest in Australia. So that also brings to doubt of the side effect. Long-term effects we still do not know. Nobody knows the long-term effects of these vaccines, particularly the mRNA vaccines. There are concerns that the spike protein can multiply and it can be found in different organs. In rare cases, that is some of the virologists have expressed concern. And ethical issues mean he is not endangering any other's life because the vaccine is not giving interruption in transmission. So whether he takes vaccine or he doesn't take vaccine is not going to, extra risk. It may not give any extra risk to the other people, to the public. So tennis stars, Tenjay Janis, what were the consequences? He landed in Melbourne, his visa got scrapped, was thrown into detention, appealed legally and got his visa restored, then saw the Australian government legally challenge his stay again. So there was a big drama. But he was not allowed in Australia. So was he a loser? The question is, or was he a winner? But if you see, if he has upheld his courage of conviction on science, his courage of conviction on ethics, he has upheld it and he has sent a message that others should also uphold and challenge. And he was ultimately, without playing, he is a winner actually. He is a winner as he unleashed his trademark cross pattern in Melbourne and has floored many Australian courts, PM Scott Morrison's government, global vaccine pushers. So he took on big players like Australian courts. Forget about the tennis court, that's a game. But bigger issues because the world is confronted with human rights, is confronted with fall of democracy. So we require such heroes to fight the court of law rather than the tennis court. Prime Minister, then global vaccine promoters on unscientific grounds and on unethical grounds. So this brings into focus that the blind mass vaccination without any common sense also is violating scientific principles, is violating ethical principles. So these are the two issues which will help in future court battles also. All over the world there are protests, all over the world there are court cases. So this can become a good case study to bring into focus how much unethical and unscientific these mandates and these promotions are. And most similarly, the gigantic pharmaceutical cartel dictating our lives over the past couple of misusing the pandemic. You can good use, put the vaccine. Vaccines are very strong weapon, but the strong weapons have to be used with good target. You don't take a good weapon, artillery, and just try to cause collateral damage. Many people may not require the vaccine, but there are likely harms. So you have to, that you are violating the ethical principles. So you only give a vaccine where the risk is very high. People with comorbidity, people with elderly people in nursing homes, like you give influenza vaccine. You don't give vaccine to a young, healthy tennis player or any other non-tennis player who have recovered. The science of ages. So the data is there. That recent data is also there. From the present pandemic, the data is there. If there's an argument that we don't know, does not hold good. 2 years, the virus has been studied very thoroughly, and as far as natural immunity after recovery is concerned, it is established beyond doubt that it is 13 to 27 times more robust. So what more vaccine you require when that there is a likely harm? So these are the references. John Hopkins, these are the natural immunity study, and these are the study on the adverse effects reported, that myocarditis, because that becomes ethical. Person is exposed to something which can harm, and first reference tells the person is not going to benefit who has recovered from infection, because that person is 27 times more protected than vaccine. And second reference, these two references are adequate. I don't know why the Australia is setting such a bad example among democracies in the world. So Australia has become something like very, very authoritarian state, which is very, very surprising.
One second, sir. Again, we want you to go through this PPT once again, right from the beginning,
Okay.
for the sake of, because we had technical hitches, and you make it full screen. And meanwhile, Dr. Arvind Kushwaha, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, he says, I got my
Yeah.
gut antibody test done today, a year and 4 months
Yeah.
since natural infection. Neutralizing
Oh, wonderful.
antibodies still detected in good strength with 97.5% inhibition. What is this? This is a big news coming on this show.
Okay.
One
He
year.
should also, I will tell Arvind Kushwaha, message from my side, he should take a tennis racket and fly to Australia and do another drama.
Yeah, I hope.
Arvind Kushwaha, you take your tennis racket and fly to Australia. Let us have another drama there
Yes, Dr. Arvind Kushwaha, I hope
with
you
your
are listening to
report.
our
With your report.
modern guru of epidemiology, like Amitav Banerjee, Galib of public health,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
asking you to pick up the racket, because after 1 year and 4 months since natural infection, you got your antibody test done today, and you found 97.5% antibodies in your body. Good strength, inhibition, right? I mean, trying to say this is a big news. So this is the show all about. Once you are exposed, once you are infected, and you get through natural immunity, you fight the virus, so that you get immunity against that virus forever. That is what we are telling, forever. When you get this natural immunity, through natural immunity, you fight the virus, and the antibodies, whatever you gain, the immunity, whatever you gain against that virus, is multi times much stronger, and it is going to stay for longer, stronger and longer. That is what the tennis star has done to the world by not accepting vaccination, by not allowing him to be tested when there were no symptoms. Now Dr. Arvind Kushwaha, after 1 year 4 months, he gets the test done today, and he is in his body, there are 97.5% inhibition and the antibodies in good strength. What does this show? We are questioning World Health Organization, including Indian Council of Medical Research, right from Honorable Prime Minister to all Chief Ministers. From where are these cases, daily cases you are listing? Everyone should question RT-PCR. Did they increase the cycles? How is that so many positive tests in spite of ICMR issuing a recent guideline stating that no one without symptoms, asymptomatic, should not be tested? And the other day also, Dr. Arvind Kushwaha also questioning, right from Prime Minister's office to Chief Ministers, if 3 lakhs cases are there, including media, why hospitals are not being flooded? Why there is no scarcity of beds? Why people are not fighting for oxygen? How do you look at this scenario, sir? You just start playing this PPT once again. After that, I want you to answer this.
As I said, these are the studies which are showing that 27 times more effective than vaccine. These are the studies from John Hopkins. Then it is highlighted in red that again study from Israel, 27 times more strong than vaccine immunity. So what is the purpose of a person who has recovered and got natural immunity, as this Novak got, the tennis player had? So he stood up to his scientific conviction, and that the whole scientific community, I don't know why it is not seeing this basic science. Then this is a study done that at the population level, 68 countries, very high vaccination status, and to almost 3,000 American counties or districts, increased vaccination did not prevent transmission in the community. The trend of infection kept on increasing. That means vaccine, the ethical autonomy, every person has a right to choose to take any medical intervention, vaccine or drug, or not to take, or even a procedure. So that can only be, by Epidemic Act or any act, that can only be overruled when he or she not taking a vaccine can put the community in danger. That is the only chance, when that is called the mill harm principle, Mills harm principle. But when the vaccine is not working, it is making the transmission. This principle cannot hold in the court of law or in the ethical court of law, ethical human rights issue. You are violating a human rights, you are curtailing a human rights of a person autonomy without benefiting the society. Had the society been benefited, there could have been an argument by the court that he is endangering. He or she is not endangering because vaccination is not preventing transmission. So this does not hold ground. Similarly, then the ethical issue of harm, scientific and ethical issue. Scientifically, the database is showing that in Europe, there are particularly young males are having higher chances of myocarditis and pericarditis. Published studies in after vaccine, and particularly athletes, they require a very strong heart. So why should a person, a young athlete, and he is a young male, so young male is a higher risk of myocarditis from the vaccine. So that scientifically it is improper, and ethically it is unethical to subject someone to likely harm without benefit. Had that person been benefit, then you do the benefit and harm study. So here the benefit and harm, definitely the harm is more than the benefit. The parroting that it always benefit outweighs the risk, benefit does not hold good young people, and particularly in people who have recovered from COVID infection, 19 infection, as this tennis player had. So there is just no sense in this the case. Then there is again concern that in Australia, in the same tournament, 3 players had to withdraw from the tournament because of pain chest. So that again raises concerns why young people should have pain chest. That points to likely myocarditis. So whatever it is, one has to be careful. So these are the Omicron. Maximum cases in Australia are the vaccinated people who are admitted. So it is not preventing. That is just even in Australia that it is not preventing the transmission.
The screen, sir. Change the screen.
So,
PPT. It's still showing myocarditis or next. Yeah. 3 players drop out of
Israel.
with chest issues.
Israel.
Djovic awaits his fate.
Okay. So your screen is showing different. 3 players drop out of Australia. So these reports are coming, which are of matter of concern. You see, the precautionary principle says that if there is any concern, you should withhold vaccination. So these are major issues which are being overlooked in this pandemic. They are going at break without any. We are not seeing the traffic signals also. That these are the traffic signals. See, there is something we should investigate. Then how lethal is the virus? The virus is very, very young people.
Next window. No,
Can you see? I'm changing, but it is not changing there.
No, it is 3 players drop out
Some-
of Australian Open. It's not here.
But I am able to change at my end. At my end, I am able to change.
Somehow there is some problem with this problem. Yeah, issues raised.
So we can discuss this 3 players dropout, issues raised. Yes.
Yeah, a study done by research of Harvard University are published in the European Journal of Epidemiology. No impact of mass
Issues
vaccination
raised.
COVID-19 incidents across 68 countries, and yeah, this is over. Next, issues raised.
These are the issues raised that science is there, which has been not, they have not followed the science, they have not followed the ethics.
Yes, sir. Autonomy versus Mills-Ham principle.
Autonomy, as I said, autonomy is you have a choice, ethical choice to give consent for a procedure. That is autonomy. But that can be overruled by the Mills-Ham principle when the community is endangered. But in this case, since the vaccine is not preventing transmission, this Mills-Ham principle also does not hold good in this case. So this is the Mills-Ham principle also. One cannot argue that you are endangering someone else. You cannot. So these are the issues raised, scientific issues. Why is natural immunity being ignored? And since vaccination is also not preventing. So both natural immunity, the individual is protected, but he is at risk of myocarditis or any other side effect. Why he should take it when he is getting no benefit? So ethically it falls apart. Scientific principles are not being followed, and tennis players have collapsed who have taken the vaccine. Of course, that may be rare, but why even for a rare event when there is no benefit, nil benefit, and long-term effects nobody knows? Then ethical issues, is he endangering anyone's life? That would then the Mills principle apply. In this case, even that is not applying. So these are the issues raised. So this case brings into sharp focus to the scientific and the legal community, I would say. Both are blind. The legal community is also blind. The scientific community is also blind. The scientific community is blind to the science. The legal community is blind to the ethics of the pandemic response. The pandemic response has violated all, from the very beginning, all scientific principles. The pandemic has violated all legal principles. So this case, one's case has brought into focus the scientific principles violated, the ethical principles violated. Let us hope that this can raise the awareness of the world.
I'll ask you some questions. Like Arvind Kushwaha and India also attaining community through community transmission herd immunity. Now, Novak Djovic issue. It's a world big larger issue.
Yeah.
Why Australian government and even Australian High Court or Supreme Court, Federal Court, whatever they call, why these courts are silent? Why these courts?
It is very difficult to answer this. I don't know what is wrong with them. That means they don't know science or they are deliberately trying to ignore science. They are deliberately trying to violate, they are deliberately violating ethical principles. So both science and ethics, both are being violated.
Both are being violated.
So this is, one doesn't know what is happening there in Australia. I mean, it cannot call itself a democratic country. I mean, I don't know. It is, it's not a democratic.
It is also part of Commonwealth.
I don't know what is happening in Australia. It fails to, it fails all.
We are trying to discuss something called law, as you rightly said, ethics. When you have clearly pointed out, 68% of those vaccinated in Australia are suffering again. They are being hospitalized. They are getting COVID infection.
Yeah.
Don't you think these statistics the courts could have taken into consideration? And also mass demonstrations were there in Melbourne. No media was showing. Last time we have shown.
There are also videos of police atrocities in Australia. They are catching. Recently, there was a video. Old lady is arrested by the police for not wearing masks and all this type of thing. So there have been a lot of police brutalities in Australia. So it is, as I said, it is very surprising how Australia is calling itself a democracy and a modern scientific community. I don't know. It is very shameful. I mean, we can't understand what is happening. Just difficult to understand.
Hope Australian Prime Minister is listening to this. Very difficult to understand. It is shameful. They are not adopting science. And how do you look at this? Djovic has been departed and he is hale and healthy. He was playing, practicing also. But those vaccinated who are allowed to play, 3 of those players quit Australian Open stating chest pain. How is that courts are silent? Their media is silent. WHO is silent. World media is silent. And even Indian media and Indian public are silent. How do you look at this scenario? 3 players.
This is all these news are rationalized that yes, they are not practiced or they should not exert and all that. But these are athletes, and Unfortunately, this type of incident should not take place. Unfortunately, that should not take place to really drive home the point. We should alert the world scientific and legal community should wake up before major tragedies. And particularly, we don't know the long-term effects. So they should wake up before any major tragedy in young people, particularly.
Wonderful. But how is the
England.
Yeah, please go ahead.
There has to be something. I don't know what the people are taking to the streets. I think perhaps. I mean, there is no other way. I think, but unfortunately, that is not. Civilized society should follow the science. Civilized society should be ethical. We are going to. I mean, some the people in power want to subdue the people, which is not good. So it has become a political issue, not a scientific issue anymore. And I mean, that is something, mass awareness has to come up, mass resistance has to come up. There has to be a Gandhi perhaps in every country for a peaceful non-violence. There has to be a Gandhi in every country now, I think. That is the only way forward. Or a Subhash Chandra Bose, which was this.
Subhash Chandra Bose, because we
Either
just come out of celebrating Subhash Chandra Bose 25th birth anniversary yesterday. Show. Or else you need to have Subhash Chandra Bose like Indian Army fighting injustice.
So we have to. So this is something which the youth, the people, the aware, the scientific community also is brainwashed. And I think this most of the young prime ministers, there have been young prime ministers or young leaders in Australia, in Canada. They have been too much fascinated with technology. They have been indoctrinated in modern technology. They think the technology has all the answers. They don't have the understanding. This young Canada has also got a young leader, political leader. I think Australia has also got a young leader. These people have got, they overestimate the miracles of science. Science and technology can achieve a lot of things, but it cannot, this mass vaccination in public health, one size does not fit all. You have to give an individual, each individual is different, which these young people who have become world leaders, they do not understand.
Big statement coming from Dr. Amitav and young leaders. But we have a Tajurbakar Honorable Prime Minister. Then how do you look at Indian scenario? We have lost a star, Puneet star we lost in Karnataka.
So
Big star.
they are Chanaks. The old leaders become Chanak, the young leaders are ignorant. So this is the paradox. अभी वो जो एल्डरली होते हैं वो चाणक नीति में सीख लेते हैं, उनके एडवाइजर्स रहते हैं, चाणक नीति चलता है एल्डर्स में, और यंग में दे आर फुलिश. They are young leaders are foolish, and the old leaders are Chanak. They are descendants of Chanak. So we require a Gandhi actually, straightforward Gandhi.
Straightforward Gandhi or Chandra Bose, Subhash Chandra Bose for that matter.
Or Subhash Chandra Bose. So we require both extremes, a fighter and a negotiator like Gandhi. Gandhi was and a cunning person like Gandhi. Gandhi was cunning also. He knew how to do. He knew his own Chanak Niti also. So he could outwit. So that type of leader we require. We require a Gandhi who can outwit the Chanaks, and we require Subhash Chandra Bose who can fight the young leaders who are foolish.
So
they can only understand the revolution.
To become awake. Now Dr. Kushwaha has clearly pointed out it is a big test for Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Chief Ministers. Indian Council of Medical Research, where are they going to keep their head? And DCGI, every state government medical health department, what is that you are going to answer? How all of a sudden, after lakhs of people participating in the rally, the very next day, these COVID tests, lakhs of cases. Because Omicron, we have revealed through this channel, it is mild and it is dying in South Africa. Then world shifted to COVID-19 again. How do you look at this scenario, sir? Lakhs of people participate in the rally. Leaders, for them nothing will happen. Now cinema theaters, malls are open. Bars and restaurants, where air conditioned, everything is air conditioned, they are all open. Mysteriously schools and colleges are closed. Now schools and colleges have become promotion centers of vaccines. That is what I've been telling school managements tomorrow. You'll face the music. Every parent or every citizen should ask any vaccine center, what does this vaccine contain? And is there any liability or compensation? And who is going to be held responsible? And why should I take this vaccine? These are the questions they should ask them. Don't you think so, sir? When bars are open,
Yes,
cinema
yes.
theaters are open, schools and colleges closed, and they have become vaccination promotion centers. How do you look at this scenario?
It's a very difficult scenario, Dr. Reddy. Nothing is straightforward because many parents, they have done, I believe, a recent survey. 70% parents believe in vaccine. The amount of fear installed by deliberately keeping the schools closed, that is a very, very difficult. 70% perhaps. Doctors also think, pediatrician also think that vaccine is required for children. I think all, as I said, the young generation have got too much faith in technology. Young parents, they have got small children. Parents are young parents, so they are just like the world leaders who are young. They overestimate the technology. They think that human beings are mechanical things. One size fits all. They don't understand that medicine is an art. Public health is an art. It is customized. It has to be customized. Individual risk has to be weighed. Harm should be weighed. That is the art of medicine. That is the art of public health. Young people will not understand the art. They are just going science, which is also not very correct science. They are going for the wrong science. Even if they are going for science, they are ignoring the natural immunity. That means the science is also not deep knowledge of science, and there is just no art at all. They are just impatient lot. They think all solutions are technological solutions, that vaccine will fix, that's like an antivirus in computer, you have a antivirus vaccine, which is not the way human body works out. The very fact that the Omicron has spread like anything shows that vaccine is not the answer, because a new mutant, if you leave it alone, then the nature also adapts by the new mutants are not very lethal also. So this is also something like a common cold which you cannot eliminate.
Now, when you say these parents or citizen concerns, don't they understand after Israel study what happened? Now they want to shift back to normal natural immunity. England, recently, just 2 days back, England also shut down all vaccine passports and everything, and they said school should open, no work from home, no masks mandate. In spite of these things, how do you think that these parents are still not learning, not understanding?
There is too much of censorship of news. There are too much of censorship. Yesterday only I got a message from one journalist who I used to give in the mainstream media. He says that my editor has told me not to do any more coverage on Omicron, and he is also surprised. He says that the pharma lobby is very strong, sir. I am very sorry. So this is what happens. The parents and all, they think these things are not, these are fake news or something like that, because now there are any other opinion other than vaccine is being censored. There's YouTubes are being removed, and other people who are expressing any adverse events, the side effects are not given the platform, and they are censored. So all this information control is also happening, and most of them still, it has become more of faith than science. Just like you blindly believe in some particular, so that is unfortunate.
Here also Tagi, Dr. Arora, we have challenged him. He is clearly on record states, which is in the public domain, there were more deaths in between the age group of 15 to 17 in the second wave. We have challenged, we have asked him, and his own another colleague,
He is not replying.
he clearly states no deaths, no question of vaccine, because they already have natural immunity. They were all part of the same family when first and second wave, so-called first and second waves were hitting the country. And he says no question of vaccine. How is that the Prime Minister or Prime Minister's office made Honorable Prime Minister to speak on this news given by Dr. N. Arora, the Tagi chairman, which is untrue? Don't you think Prime Minister or his office will try to check before they speak? They just come on like that and they speak and they create this panic. and all of a sudden from January 3rd, boosters and as well as vaccines for children. How can a Prime Minister just so blindly believe this, Dr. N. Arora, and speak? And not only that, boosters, why do you need a booster? When first dose is not working, second dose is not working, why the hell you need a booster? That too when there is community transmission, herd immunity is there.
The opposition is also sleeping, no? These are the points for the opposition to take up. I mean, if the opposition is sleeping, then because if you see in USA, the senators, other senators keep questioning Fauci, they keep questioning the government. But here we do not have a strong opposition. So opposition or some MP or some politician. So if the opposition is not also speaking, that means they are
Congress party, Rahul Gandhi,
they are also
I have
compromised.
advised booster. He says I have advised booster, and through Kapil Bajaj show we have exposed how the Public Health Foundation of India started during UPS regime. How Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation came into India through UPA government. How it is being consolidated by Modi government now. We have shown that through no even leftists were part of it. With evidences,
that is why it is compromised. All political parties are compromised. All the Public Health Foundation, political parties, all have got conflict of interest. The vaccine manufacturer, Gates Foundation, they have got conflict of interest. So everything is web. They are in the web. They cannot come out of the web.
Cannot. But how do you think, Honorable Prime Minister, when such a big lie is being harped in the name of 15 to 17 years, children died during the second wave, and even we questioned Supreme Court. Sir, how did you diagnose it? Through post-mortem, autopsy? How is that you are asking 50,000 to be paid? Is it not because of other diseases, many are dying in India, and because of which insurance companies should have paid major compensation in lakhs for which they are insured, and even the pharmaceuticals, because of insurance, they would have manufactured more such type of drugs to save other diseases. But both in glove, when they are trying to take the umbrage in the name of emergency use authorization, making our own money. That is why I said to Supreme Court or Honorable High Court, when you are investing my public money, my money, in the name of emergency use authorization, as a concerned citizen, my right comes to play. I question. Because you are using my money without giving information. How did they die? What is the cause for their death? Or they are not comorbidities? We are challenged through this channel. Is it tuberculosis, malaria, dengue, typhoid, diarrhea? Which are the diseases which are afflicting young youth and children? Nothing, no answer comes. But a Prime Minister, on the statement of Dr. N. Arora, how can he just come out and address the nation and start this vaccination as he has done last year too? And only after that we found Delta variant.
Yeah, because Dr. Reddy, you are talking in a situation where democracy is working. Democracy is getting not working. Australia, it is not working. Canada, it is not working. So here also it is not working to full potential. We have to regain democracy, then only they will answer your questions. There is no accountability. There is no accountability of government servants. There is no accountability of the NTA chair. Since there is no accountability, they have become arrogant. It is arrogance. It is lack of accountability. These are all signs of a failing democracy.
Failing democracy, but it is like आपके खुद के पैसे से आपको डैश करवा रहे. क्यों लोग क्यों पता नहीं चल रहा है? इंग्लैंड खत्म हो गई, बाहर आ गई. साउथ अफ्रीका में ओमाइक्रॉन खत्म हो रहा. स्पेन में आप देख चुके हैं, और यूएस में तो डिवाइडेड है पूरा. लेकिन एक इंडिया ऐसा कंट्री है जहां लोकतंत्र की बात हम करते हैं और राजनीति दल इस तरह, और साथ में मीडिया. विश्वास जी वाज क्वेश्चनिंग व्हाट इज दिस मीडिया डूइंग, हाउ इज दैट दे आर ट्राइंग टू स्केयर पीपल. 3 lakh cases, how? After ICMR said no testing of asymptomatic cases, and he also questioned scientifically. He said if there are 3 lakh cases all of a sudden, why hospital beds are empty? Why beds in hospitals are empty? Why there is no demand for oxygen? Is it media created or politicians or administrators created? He was questioning this. How do you look at this scenario? No hospital is flooding.
अभी देखिए, अभी आप चलते फिरते लोगों को, एसिम्टोमेटिक लोगों को, अभी तो क्या कर दिया उन्होंने, सेल्फ टेस्ट किट निकाल दिया. एवरीबडी इज बाइंग किट एंड पॉजिटिव आता है तो वो फिर अपलोड करना पड़ता आईसीएमआर साइट में, वो केस काउंट में चला जाता है। तो अभी बिगड़ किसी एफर्ट के केस बढ़ते रहेंगे। तो ये तो अभी यू आर मेकिंग पीपल मेंटल केसेस, जिसको कहते हैं न्यूरोटिक केसेस और ऑब्सेसिव कंपल्सिव डिसऑर्डर, 10 बार वो डालता रहता है और निकल आता है। कभी ना कभी फॉल्स पॉजिटिव फॉल्स नेगेटिव सब कुछ चलता है और वो अपलोड हो जाता है। और कई लोग तो फायदा भी उठा रहे हैं, ऑफिस से 7 दिन का छुट्टी मिल जाता है कोविड पॉजिटिव। तो ऑल दिस थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग डॉक्टर साहब, क्या करोगे? एवरीबॉडी इज एक्सप्लॉइटिंग द सिस्टम, everybody is exploiting the pandemic, so-called pandemic.
What should be your last word as a public health exponent and as a concerned citizen?
Last words यही है कि they should people scientists and people lawyers है हमारे कंट्री में भी, people are coming out, they should have the courage of conviction. They should come together and they should know that जो इकोनॉमिक लॉस हो रहा है, पर्टिकुलरली बच्चों को सबसे ज्यादा लॉस हो रहा है, चिल्ड्रन लॉस जो हो रहे हैं ये इरिवर्सिबल है। 2 साल में बहुत बच्चे का एजुकेशनल बैकवर्डनेस हो जाता है, उसको रिकवर करने में ग्रोइंग पीरियड होता है, फर्स्ट 5 years 10 years ऑफ लाइफ। यंग बच्चे बंद है, उनका साइकोलॉजिकल सोशल डिप्रेशन एंजाइटी इवन एडल्ट्स में बहुत ज्यादा हो रहा है। तो ये बहुत ही ज्यादा मतलब कोविड का कोई डेथ नहीं हो रहा है और इसमें अभी कोई रीजन नहीं है। जल्दी ही इसको इंग्लैंड से दूसरे कंट्री से तो इंडिया में भी जल्दी से सब कुछ ओपन कर देना चाहिए। मतलब फोकस प्रिवेंशन तो पहले से ही है। एल्डरली लोग, एल्डरली भी हमारे टफ है, एल्डरली को भी जो है कि दे एट द मोस्ट यू कैन give them focused prevention, but वैक्सीन मैंडेट, स्कूल को कोर्सन, इनडायरेक्ट मैंडेट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट में खुद एफिडेविट दिया सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने कि वैक्सीन मैंडेट नहीं है, कोई फोर्स नहीं कर सकता। तो दे शुड टेक एक्शन अगेंस्ट दोज हु आर फोर्सिंग। वो जब तक नहीं होगा तो दे आर डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स which should end actually. Accountability should be there.
Double standards should end. There should be accountability so that Nthagi chairperson like Dr. N.R. can be questioned and he has to provide the proof as to from where did he get that figure that in the age group of 15 to 17 years many died in that age group during the second wave. Accountability of Dr. N. Arora, his influence he had on our Honorable Prime Minister. That is why he came out on 25th December and he announced all of a sudden vaccines for children. Again booster, which beats my intelligence. The first dose did not work, second dose did not work. How will a booster work? And when did you do antibody study across India? Delhi and other cities, they have clearly said, Hyderabad also, they were already in the verge of herd immunity through community transmission. Antibodies were found. Likewise in children, they have studied, case studies are there in across cities in India. They already have 99% of antibodies in children. Then why the hell they did to propose both booster and vaccines for children? Everyone should answer, right from Honorable Prime Minister to Chief Minister, ICMR to DCGI, every government organization. You are liable because you are spending my money. You are not giving from somewhere. It is my money, my tax money. You are spending it for a disease which has got 99.9% recovery on their own without any treatment. That is why we are challenging you. If people have died during first or second or third phase of corona, how did they die? Where is the post-mortem report, autopsy report? When people go to hospitals, what are the presenting symptoms? What are the drugs with which you have treated? Is it not a drug trial? Money because of World Health Organization, remdesivir to cocktail, it went on changing. And when during changing, how many people have died because of these drug trials? And how many people have died because of the fear and panic situation which you are creating even now? 3 lakh cases. Dr. Arvind Kushwaha, even Dr. Amitav Banerjee is questioning, where are those cases? In which hospitals? How many beds are in shortage now? Where is the oxygen shortage? That is why this show has been demanding, right from Panchayat to Mandal to district level, which are the patients, which are the citizens who are affected, release their names. What are the presenting symptoms? And this RT-PCR, home kits, what is the cycle? And we were, because of this failed this thing, I am not able to, but still I will try to show you one document regarding RT-PCR stating that RT-PCR is a failed test which is being shared amongst the group. very rigorously. I'll tell you one thing, sir. Our system is hacked. My system, I'm not able to move anything. Here also I'm trying to move. Let me show the document once again so that the fear will go away from parents. Parents should go and question the school authorities or those who are trying to vaccinate. What does these vaccines contain? You have every right. Do they contain alumina or formaldehyde or anything else? See, we have shown them alternatives in the form of Anandaya Ayurvedic medicine cleared by AP High Court. Neither Andhra Pradesh government, now Atmanirbhar, Indian traditional government, Modi government doesn't pursue this. That beats my intelligence. Naturopathy, they don't want to follow. Our own Indian traditional medicines, we don't want to follow. You want to invest on vaccines, that is my public money. Even RT-PCR last time also we have shown how it is a failed test with their own RTI information. Now you are depending on that information. So I request parents and concerned citizens, don't panic. No fear, please. You have been going around. Did anything happen to you? Lakhs of people participated in the rally. Did anything happen to them? These politicians, administrators, they keep crossing, including Honorable Prime Minister was traveling around the world. Did anything happen to him without masks? And now Rahul Gandhi, when he says booster, I have suggested you should question him. Is it not your UPA government which has got Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation into India, Public Health Foundation of India, Mr. Reddy, who was AIMS cardiologist, being in that position, how did he float that organization? Is it not UPA government which is solely responsible for this mess now in the country, as this has been happening in Africa and everywhere? The same thing is being adopted by NDA under Modi. This is what is perplexing us. Who are these people? And question yourselves, honorable citizens, which are the diseases? Is it corona or TB, malaria, dengue, malnutrition, encephalitis? Which are the diseases killing youth and children in India and adults also? Is it not because of cancer and so many other diseases which are killing people in India? Out of 27,000 people, how many are dying because of corona? We have been demanding this from Supreme Court. Institute a trial. Do the autopsy, post-mortem report, without which how can you diagnose and you award 50,000 public money to every death? Because they are all insured under different policies. Instead of insurance companies paying, instead of pharmacy coming to the rescue in the form of treatment in the hospitals, you are categorizing them all under corona, and they are escaping with such huge crores and crores of hundreds of crores of rupees. You are making every Indian to pay, and during this pandemic, Indians have lost their livelihoods. Children being taxed when they go to school, high fees. You go to buy dal to oil, high rates. Vegetables today, when we went out and bought 2 bags, 500 rupees, small bags, even 500 rupees vegetables we are not able to buy. And fruits. Honorable Prime Minister and Chief Minister, how will we get natural immunity without food? Is it through vaccine without investing our own money? You tell us that. How are you following and who are your advisors? It's time people start questioning. महंगाई बढ़ गई, क्यों बढ़ गई? हमारे प्रभुत्व सरकार ने कहा कि पेट्रोल डीजल दामें हम क्यों बढ़ाए? क्योंकि वैक्सीन के लिए. किसको चाहिए वैक्सीन? वैक्सीन काम कर रहा है. अगर एक साइड वैक्सीन आप बात कर रहे हैं, दूसरी साइड इतनी कीमती दाम, दाल से लेकर चावल तक, सब्जी का दाम बढ़ा, फ्रूट्स का दाम बढ़ा. ये सब के बिना सहज रोग निरोधक शक्ति हमारे को किस तरह आएगा? आप सोचिए. हमारे पैसे से और ये इमरजेंसी यूज ऑथराइजेशन के नीचे नो लायबिलिटी एंड कंपनसेशन आज तक वैक्सीन के लिए. ये कैसा देखते हैं आप? आप सोचिए. आप सोचिए. आप बिना आपका सोच, nothing is going to change. Think, my dear fellow citizens, our money is being invested for these vaccines under the name of emergency use authorization. That is why all of a sudden cases increase, all of a sudden cases decrease. RT-PCR, what is the test? And how many are really infected? How many of you just question in your own locality? Is it not common cold because of which they are testing and it is becoming positive? How many have been hospitalized? And what are the deaths because of, if you see around? Question yourself. It is our money which is being invested for these pharmacy manufacturers. All political parties have become one. It is the question of every Indian citizen, because you yourself is a constitutional authority. We have submitted this constitutional to ourselves. हमने अपने संविधान को अपने आप को समर्पित किया. हम अपने आप एक संविधान है. तो हम जो पैसे टैक्सेस पे करते हैं उससे ही केंद्र सरकार से लेकर राष्ट्र सरकार चलता है. वो प्रजाहित में चलना चाहिए. The taxes which we pay, through which central and state governments run, they are all our public servants, right from Prime Minister to Chief Minister. They are all our public servants. How is that we are not being informed? एक नागरिक के तहत मेरे सही समाचार क्यों नहीं है? ये समाचार आप दीजिए, हम निर्णय करेंगे क्या हमको सही क्या हमको नहीं. क्योंकि जीने का हक मेरा है, स्वास्थ्य का भी मेरा हक है. Right to life is my fundamental right, and right to health is my right, and I should need the proper information. How is that, Dr. N. Arora? You have to make him accountable. 15 to 17 years, how many have died? Where is the report? Where is the proof? This has to be borne in mind. Every child and every parent should understand this. Schools and colleges, you are supposed to impart quality education without discrimination, not to promote vaccines under emergency use authorization, investing our money. There is no liability and compensation. Will you hold responsible? Take the responsibility. And when you, don't you know, cinema theaters, malls, bars and restaurants are open. Do you think schools are going to transmit virus, or bars and restaurants and cinema halls? The choice is yours. So be well informed, truly informed. Election after election, rally after rally. Politicians go around the world, nothing happens. If nothing happens to them, what are they taking then? Is it not a trial vaccine, placebo to some, candidate vaccine to all innocent people, and without any liability and compensation, investing our own money, our own money. That is why we are demanding Supreme Court and High Courts come to the rescue. It is our money. Expedite the trial with all the documentary evidences. Farmer strike, किसान का आंदोलन आपके सामने 1 साल भर चला. नो फिजिकल डिस्टेंस, नो मास्क. केस स्टडी क्यों नहीं लेते आप? केस स्टडी क्यों नहीं लेते आप? तो इसीलिए हम आपको समझाना चाहते कि आप अपने आप एक कानून संविधान की व्यवस्था है. आपका हक बनता है कि केंद्र राष्ट्र सरकार आपको सही समाचार दे, और ये आपका हक बनता है कि आप उनसे पूछना शुरू कीजिए, उनको प्रश्न करना शुरू कीजिए. एवरी सिटीजन, कंसर्न सिटीजन should start questioning. Otherwise, it is up to you. We are trying to bring you all the scientific evidences with logic as per rule of law, Constitution invoking Evidential Act. We are informing you, truly informing you. Rest is your decision. It is your decision. Yes, sir, Dr. Amitav ji. Before we say bye, anything else you would like to add?
Yes, I think these are food for thought. Everybody should think, all citizens should think for a healthy democracy, for a good health. Without a good democracy, there will be more exploitation, more fall in health, more expensive things will increase. Indirectly, cost of living will increase if everything is diverted to pharma companies. So we have to be careful, our citizens.
Do we require another Jay Prakash Narayan of 70s against emergency? Big people have started to stop. Now we have reduced to ranting. The concerned are hardly bothered. Dare them get jailed, get damned. People are starting now. This is how people should respond. Respond. Yes. We ourselves are a constitutional authority. No fear. Our fear, our panic is investment for these pharmacy, and then vaccine manufacturers and the politicians and their control behavior. हमारी डर ही इनका इन्वेस्टमेंट है. तो डरिए मत. Dare to be wise. आप डर निकालिए, प्रश्न करना सीखिए, क्योंकि ये आपकी जिंदगी है और स्वास्थ्य भी आपका ही है. तो इसका जो रिपोर्टेशन रीटेलीकास्ट, we will come out with another flyer, and this show will be retelecasted on 27th morning at 11 a.m. on Citizens Dr. TSPR channel. 27th morning 11 a.m. on Citizens Dr. TSPR channel. Do support Dr. TSPR channel, Citizens Dr. TSPR channel. and environment people, Dr. TSPR channel. Support, subscribe and share the links. Today, believe me, we have been struggling for 11 minutes. There was a delay. It is a hacking. My entire system is hacked. I am not able to move this way or that way. Dr. Amitav Banerjee, over 70 years old, I salute all these wonderful guests. He is still holding on to his mobile. Through that, we have connected this audio to this world. This much of pain we take. These type of wonderful guests are there to serve the society. Why? In larger public interest. Because we feel we are all part of the same society. If we do something good to the society, invariably we will all be benefited. If we do bad, we will be part of it. So, kindly understand that this is our life and our health. Do support Dr. TSPR channels. Come whatever may. With wonderful guests like Dr. Amitav Banerjee and all such type wonderful guests, we are going to bring you all the latest with evidences. This show is very clearly states, the tagline is simple: no enmity against individual nor animosity against any party or organization. Issue as per rule of law, constitution, invoking evidential act. You have seen Dr. Amitav Banerjee has listed so many evidences for you. How Australia ignored its own evidences and at the cost of democracy, they have made themselves dash dash dash. England, after long hangama, it has come out when public started to demand, when people started to come onto the roads. This is happening everywhere in Europe, Spain, El Salvador, and in America it's a divided house. Nothing is being shown, but American companies are patents whether it comes to vaccines or these RT-PCR tests. If I am wrong, they can always correct me. That is why they create fear and panic so that our hard-earned money is spent because our political system is dash dash dash. Take care. Sukha Nidra Shubha Ratri for all the Indians. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening to the entire world. Wake up before it is too late. Thank you, sir. Take care. Bye.